Dr. Kelkar always reminds me that capitalism is flawed. I do not challenge that. And I'm not talking of unbridled capitalism, but I'm saying we have to shed socialism as a bias. And I think unless you do that, what you are saying is within the existing system of governance. All the policy proposals that this book discusses presumes the primacy of the bureaucratic intellectual elite of India to lead the way in the manner in which they see fit. I'm sorry. The problems of India that we have faced for the last 50 years are on account of these people. Gandhi never wanted a centralized thinking to percolate down. He wanted a distributed thinking to occur. And I meet a lot of people who say, why do you talk of Gandhi and Charkha and stuff like this? Please understand what can be done today, and is being done today, to reach these people without government money or support. Support, yes, in the sense that there is no opposition. I can cite an example, which I will do quickly, that private people with their own initiative, with 5,000 volunteers across the country, have addressed 3,000 villages to eliminate water shortage. Government did not pay for it. Nobody subsidized it. These people worked on their own, got the money from private enterprise to hire the necessary JCBs and stuff to desilt lakes, motivated the local farmers to carry that silt, which is wonderfully rich soil, to their own farms, and they provided the supervision. The government only paid for the diesel that was used for powering these through the collector. Not a penny was taken by this organization from the government. The government and this organization remained separate. Now, if you can do that, today the same organization, which is not government, which is not planning, which is not socialism, this organization is traders in small towns, young people, educated people who are working together, coordinated and supported centrally in planning and in reporting. And they have reached a total of 67,000 government schools, where some 195,000 teachers have been trained, and they are reaching 50 lakh students to conduct value education. Value education is not talking about Hinduism or Jainism or Buddhism or Christianity or Islam. It is about environment protection. It is about respecting elders. It is about following rules and disciplines. This is a wonderfully exciting and successful program. If Dr. Kelkar is kind enough to indulge me, I would ask that the PIC should host the people who are doing this to understand what they are doing. It is mind-blowing. Why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because it encompasses what I consider to be the values which are necessary to be put into the social foundation of India to enable these pillars to rise and to facilitate the building of a great society. I too want to recommend 3 pillars. The first pillar is education, of course, but not just higher education. Whenever we talk of education, the liberal Democrats of India talk of Nehru having created IITs. They forget that long before that, Tata's created IIS. And there have been engineering colleges, one in Pune, which is 150 years old, for heaven's sake. And it's a wonderful college. So IITs contributed. But like in Marathi, we have a story that there was this Mhatari who had a komda and she would keep it in a basket And if she did not allow that Komda to, what is it called, croak in the morning, people would not get up. That is the story. So if you disallow educational institutions and only talk about IITs and IIMs as being the causal factors, I think you are denigrating the enterprise of India's intellectuals. The person who founded the COEP was not an IIT or an IIM graduate. Sir Visheshwaraya never went to IIT or IIM. Neither did Vikram Sarabhai. He founded the IIM. So my point is, education is not just higher education, it is lower education which is important. We are not teaching our young people right. And I would love to see in a sequel to this book a chapter on education for the masses, not just for the elites. The second pillar is my other E, which is enterprise. What is enterprise? Enterprise is creating surplus. Subsistence farming is not enterprise. It is survival. Creating surplus is enterprise. How focused are we on creating enterprise or creating surplus? I don't think people think of it in this light. The third E is ethics. And what is ethics? It's correct education. It is respect and encourage enterprise. It is deinstitutionalization of corruption. The socialist system we have inherited, which we have modified partially, is hopelessly corrupt. There isn't a government servant or a police official or a politician, there will be exceptions, I accept, who is not got one hand in the till. We expect this system to deliver for India what we want for the future. What are we doing to deinstitutionalize corruption? You have to attack the governance structure at its root and change it. But we don't even want to change farm laws. No, it will disturb my business model. We don't want to make these changes which free people, which free enterprise, which free competition. Competition is the biggest killer of monopoly. And competition results in merit, and competition results in good behavior. So these three E's to my mind are important. They are not reflected in this book. And I have to very humbly submit, I am not here to criticize, sir. I am here because you have called me. I suppose you called me not just to say, well done, wonderful, you could have done that with somebody else also. But I thought you wanted to hear my honest view, and I sincerely feel that we should look at the foundation on which these three pillars stand. I wanted to speak a little about the founder of Jainism and his teachings, and if you will indulge me for a couple of minutes more. At the beginning of the Bronze Age, 5,000 years ago or more, the Jain and Buddhist, that is the Shraman journey began. And the first Tirthankar or the ford maker or the person who showed the way across difficulty was Rishabhdev. For thousands of years, it is not a recent invention, the Jain tradition has always spoken of his values. And it is nothing wrong to look at what his values were, to try and understand whether our today's values are in sync or opposite or in a different direction. He said 6 things which I think are fundamentally valid today. This is my view. You can form your own opinion. The first value was Asi. Asi is Astra, weapon, tool. Defend yourself as a society and as a country. Be equipped, be weaponized. Jain Tirthankar, not a namby-pamby person. The second value was Masi, ink, for communication, education. Be communicative. The third value was krishi. Be productive. Grow a surplus. Don't just grow something for subsistence. There is a lot about agriculture in this book. What is the problem with our agriculture? We are not producing adequate surplus. Our performance is far below par by global standards. Why? Because we have not created the environment where surplus production is valued, supported, applauded. The fourth value is even more shocking. It is Vanijya, trade. 5,000 years ago, this must have been in the Indus Valley civilization time, there was talk of trade. And we see evidence of it in the archaeological details of that time. Trade was supported. How is India supporting trade today? How will we look at trade in future? Are we going to say Adani is a crook because of this, that or the other? Adani's brother is a related party or not? Do you know what the company law says about related parties? My sister's husband is my relative, but his wife's brother is not his relative. How do you answer that? So if we form a company together and have a transaction, are we relatives or not? But this is the labyrinthine law of India which was imposed on us by the anti-monopolists, and allied people have tied us in knots. So if there is a bypassing of the moral thing like money from Mauritius, it's legal. It's legal. Everybody is doing it. All the politicians are involved in it. But we will not say so. We'll only say Adani, his brother was the related party and he did this, that and the other and he got the money from Mauritius. Everybody who has made these big share ESOPs or what have you, not ESOPs but share offers, has got money from Mauritius. It is one way of round-tripping the black money which was created by the socialist economy. You needed black money to lubricate your way. You needed black money to fund politicians. Businessmen are not corrupt by themselves. So this is the other aspect of our social value system, which I think a book of this nature also needs to look at. And then there is Kala and Vidya, which are well understood. Are we looking at these things as the drivers for India? Now, if Hollywood can be such a huge industry worldwide, we have 20 times the talented people. We have 50 times the variety of music and dance and story and whatnot. But all we are doing on Bollywood is mayhem. Can we change our society to create this as a... There is a lot of talk in this book and wonderfully put that we need to create platforms on the basis of which we will grow. Of course, that is the logical thing to do and it's wonderfully well stated. But we need cultural platforms also to convey our view. So let me conclude. Let me not berate you anymore. Let me conclude by saying I am thrilled to have read this book. I am grateful to have been offered the opportunity to be among the first people to read this book. And I am thankful for having been given this opportunity to critically speak about it. Please do not, Mr. Natarajan, Mr. Gani, please do not think that I am criticizing the book. I am only looking at what is important but not in the scope of the book. And I feel that as people who are going to read this book and are going to learn from this book, we should look at that aspect as well. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak, and thank you for not throwing rotten eggs at me.